Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 9 of distance learning. I cannot believe that it is the beginning of June and we are here at week 9 with only 3 weeks left to go. So I want to first apologize for last week. I'm not quite sure what happened with the screen sharing, but by the time I realized that it had happened, I had already filmed the entire video, and I figured that you would all do just fine just following along on your own, and it seems that you did, which is great. So if any of you had any questions about that, please check in with me and we can get anything straightened out that you needed. We are this week and next going to be focusing on the age of European exploration. This will be our focus during week 9, and then week 10 we'll finish it up. That's next week. And then during our very last few days together, there will be no video at all. And instead, you'll have one last final wrap-up assignment. It's not a final exam or anything, but it will just kind of wrap up and give closure to our year together and get you finally set up to go into sophomore year. So with that in mind, gearing up to finish the end of this year, let's dive in, pun intended, into the exploration that occurs in Europe during this time period. We are going to focus on section 1 of this very last part of Unit 9 this week, and that is about the motivation for exploration and the means that they had to do the exploration. Europe sees what we call an age of exploration from about 1400 all the way through 1700. Because the Renaissance occurs, we see these changes happen in so many other areas, right? We talked about the changes in religion, the changes in science. People wanted to learn more and do more and be more involved. And that holds true with exploration as well. The Renaissance encouraged this curiosity, this desire to do more, and for trade as well, to see more things and to be able to gain more from others. So because of exploration, these European nations grew powerful and they began to spread their influence throughout the world. So they were able to extend further past that smaller area of Europe or those areas just outside of Europe and go much further than they ever had before. There are 3 main reasons that Europeans chose to explore. We call them the 3 G's. Gold, that's money, glory, and God. So the 3 main reasons that Europeans wanted to explore, our 3 G's, are gold, glory, and God. Let's talk about them. Let's start with gold. So gold, like I said, means money. The Europeans had this great desire for new sources of wealth. This is the main reason that Europeans start to explore. They want more money, and they find that the best way for them to get more money is through exploration. Merchants began looking for a quick and direct trade route to Asia. They eventually find, and we'll talk a little bit more about that next week as we talk about specific countries and the work that they've done, but merchants start to look for these ways to get to Asia without having to go over land. The Crusades and the Renaissance led to European desires for Asian luxury goods. They were introduced to them because of the Renaissance, because of the Crusades, and they wanted more of them. The second G, the second main reason for exploration, is glory. Kings gained overseas colonies, new sources of wealth, and increased power. Kings wanted this new power that came with. They wanted this glory. They wanted to feel more powerful. Exploration gave Europeans the opportunity to rise from poverty and gain fame, fortune, and status. So even the poorest people could find themselves as explorers. They could gain the ability to work perhaps on a ship that was traveling far away become a part of that and become part of a crew that was helping to gain this fame, fortune, and status, helping to set up new colonies and find new sources of wealth. The demand for this new land and glory also led to competition between the countries. So it wasn't just Portugal looking to gain this power. Spain saw that Portugal was gaining power, and then Spain wanted to gain even more power than Portugal. So we start to see this increased competition between the European countries. And finally, the third G, the third reason for exploration in Europe during this period of time is God. During the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, as I'm sure you remember, Europe was very religious. The people of Europe were religious. The government was religious. Religion plays a very large role in the lives of Europeans. Christians wanted to stop the spread of Islam, and they wanted to convert non-Christians to Christianity. And so explorers were encouraged to spread Christianity wherever they went. So if they were finding themselves exploring the Caribbean islands, they went with the goal as well to convert any people there to Christianity. Oftentimes this Christianity was not simply spread by, oh, here's a new religion, maybe you're interested. No, it was more often forced on the people that were there, and the people had no choice but to convert to Christianity. A lot of forced conversion takes place during this time. Now, all of a sudden, the Europeans start to engage in this exploration. They had the means to do this by the time we get to the 14 and the 1500s, but that is because of advances in both sailing and navigation that occurred. Before the Renaissance, sailors didn't really have the technology to sail very far from Europe. But trade and cultural diffusion during the Renaissance introduced new navigation techniques to the Europeans, because they were then opened up to other cultures who were already engaging or using these types of advances or technologies. The Europeans were able to gain access to them. Diffusion, of course, is the spreading of something more widely. So cultural diffusion is when culture spreads, typically from one community to another. It spreads it more widely. The magnetic compass allowed Europeans to sail more accurately, which helped them to sail further in doing so. And then finally, there were also advances in shipbuilding, in the ways that the ships were actually built. European shipbuilders started to focus on this, and so they built a better ship. This ship was known as a caravel. It was a strong ship that could travel in both the open seas and in shallow water. Caravels also had triangular sails that allowed ships to sail against the wind. So you didn't have to just go wherever the wind took you. You could purposefully set course, and sailors were able to do so, helping them to better navigate and have better purpose in their exploration. They also developed a movable rudder, which made the caravel more manageable. They were able to get through in smaller areas and bigger areas, depending on the level of the water, wherever they were. Together, these advances in both shipbuilding itself and in the technology for navigation allowed exploration to grow significantly during this period of time. Next week, we are going to focus on some specific explorers in the Age of Exploration, those from Northern Europe, Portugal, and Spain, and the impact that they had on the Age of Exploration. There are a few assignments for you this week. All of you, actually, CCP Honors and Advanced, are taking a look at Chapter 19, Section 1, and depending on which level you are, you'll be answering a different set of questions that I have emailed you along with the reading. And for my advanced students, you will also be doing an additional reading about Europe discovering the rest of the world and responding to a couple of questions about that. If any of you have any questions, please let me know. And I hope that you all have an excellent first week of June.